Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise to get you the knowledge you need fast. Today, we're diving deep into real estate, but forget the glossy photos and perfect staging for a minute. We're looking at the stressful part, the part after the offer's accepted, actually getting the deal closed.
Right.
And here's a number that really sets the stage. Pretty sobering, actually. Last month, Redfin data showed a 15% of contracted U.S. home sales just fell apart before closing.
15%, that's huge.
It is. That's like 1 in every 7 deals collapsing. Think about that if you're a seller. It's not just a delay. It's money, it's stress, it's losing valuable time on the market.
Absolutely. And what's really crucial here is why they're falling apart. Our sources, they point away from, big economic shocks. It's mostly coming down to things that should be manageable. Stuff like inspection arguments, different expectations clashing, and very often just weak communication or logistical mess-ups.
So like preventable problems.
Essentially, yes. They're often managerial failures. The deal doesn't die because the marketing was bad. It dies because the agent couldn't handle the complexity after the offer came in. So our mission today is really clear. We need to look past the usual stuff, the flashy ads, the "I know this town best" claims. We need to uncover what might be the single most underrated skill for an agent right now.
Which is?
The ability to hold a deal together when it gets shaky. Let's call it deal preservation.
Okay, deal preservation. Let's unpack that. Because, when you, the listener, start looking for an agent, the instinct is to ask those traditional questions. Who's got the biggest ad budget? Or who really knows this neighborhood inside and out to price my home perfectly? That feels foundational, right? Pricing.
Right.
Isn't getting the price right still the absolute bedrock? I mean, how can you preserve a deal if it's overpriced from the start, the appraisal comes in low, and boom, instant conflict?
That's a fair challenge. And look, local knowledge, sharp pricing, they're absolutely essential. They're the entry ticket, you could say. They get the buyer interested, get that initial contract signed, no question. But here's the tough part our sources highlight, that local expertise. It doesn't do much, really, when you hit the inevitable logistical and emotional minefield of the actual transaction.
Okay.
Knowing the right price doesn't fix a nasty fight during the final walkthrough, does it? Or sort out a sudden problem the bank has with loan paperwork? The real difference between smooth sailing and ending up in that 15% collapse statistic, it really comes down to the agent's specific experience and skill set in managing that chaos.
So if they don't have that specific skill,
Then you, the client, could be right back at square one, starting the whole stressful process over again. And the cost of that financially, emotionally, is just immense.
Okay, so marketing gets you in the door, but deal preservation gets you closed. If that's the case, what does this skill set actually look like day to day? What are we talking about here? It's more than just scheduling calls, right?
Oh, much more. It's strategic intervention. It's crisis management. We've kind of distilled it down from the sources into 5 core abilities an agent needs to master. They have to juggle being a crisis manager, a diplomat, and an auditor, almost.
Okay, lay them out for us.
All right. First one, emotional management. This might be the most underrated part. It's about staying incredibly calm under serious pressure, especially when emotions are running high because something unexpected popped up.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, imagine the inspection report comes back. And it's not just, a leaky faucet. It hints at something scary. Maybe old foundation issues, or, the words toxic mold get mentioned.
Maybe panic time.
Exactly. A panicky agent just fuels the fire. They scare their client, the client scares the buyer, suddenly everyone's defensive, the deal's already bleeding. But an agent skilled in emotional management, they act like a shock absorber. They say, okay, I hear your concern, this is serious. But then they immediately pivot. Right, let's get a structural engineer in here to assess properly. Let's get facts, not spiral. They stabilize things.
That makes total sense. It's likely the biggest financial transaction of someone's life. You need the calm hand on the tiller.
Precisely. Okay, second ability, logistical precision. This is all about the details. The paperwork, they need to be meticulous like an auditor. Catching mistakes early.
What kind of mistakes?
Contract errors, missing disclosures, those technical gaps that seem small but can cause huge delays, or even void the whole agreement down the line. A good agent knows where deals typically stumble. For instance, maybe a mandatory disclosure wasn't included, like, say, about past flooding in the basement, or some specific state-required report.
Ah, okay.
Catching that early keeps everyone compliant. Missing it, that could give the buyer a legal way out right before closing. Or worse, lead to a lawsuit after you've moved out. This agent is basically your bureaucratic watchdog.
So it's not just typos, it's the legally critical stuff people forget in the rush. And if the agent's main focus is just getting the next listing?
Those details are often the first things to slip.
Exactly.
Okay, third skill, and this one's often the toughest: coordination. Think of them as the orchestra conductor. They have to manage all the different players, lenders, inspectors, appraisers, title companies, baby attorneys, all with their own priorities, their own egos sometimes, and the timeline is always ticking.
How does that work when, say, a lender gets slow? Because banks and appraisers, they have their own pace, right? Often unpredictable.
A great agent anticipates those bottlenecks.
Yeah.
They don't just wait until the loan contingency deadline is tomorrow and then call the buyer's agent to complain. No, they're already using their network, maybe gently nudging the loan officer, perhaps providing extra documents proactively. They're trying to keep things moving, making sure every deadline is met. Critically, they keep the momentum going, prevent the whole thing from just drifting away.
Keeping the momentum, okay.
Which leads to the fourth skill, crucial for that momentum: buyer psychology. This is about spotting when a buyer gets hesitant, that moment of cold feet, and addressing it directly but carefully. It takes real tact.
Yeah, that sounds tricky. How do you address cold feet without pushing too hard, without being manipulative? Where's the ethical line there?
Great question. The line is transparency and validation. A skilled agent doesn't bully or coerce. They see the cold feet might be just, the sheer size of the commitment sinking in, especially maybe after a slightly worrying inspection report. So they might pull the buyer's agent aside. Say something like, look, I get it, this is a huge decision. Let's revisit why your client loved this house in the first place, and let's put these repair needs into perspective against the long-term value.
Okay.
They acknowledge the concern, they dial down the drama, and then gently refocus attention on the positive outcome. They guide it forward without being aggressive. They step in before hesitation turns into a full withdrawal.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Validate the fear, then refocus. Turns potential conflict into something productive.
Exactly. And finally, the fifth ability: compliance and timing. This overlaps with coordination, sure, but it's laser-focused on the deadlines in the contract. It's about tactically protecting that timeline, making sure every single contingency, loan approval, appraisal, inspections, final walkthrough is met on time. This keeps the deal legally found and prevents the other side from getting leverage because you missed a deadline.
Got it.
And when you look at that 15% failure rate, it's often not one big thing. It's usually a chain reaction. A small paperwork error causes a delay, which leads to an emotional flare-up, slowing down coordination, maybe a deadline gets missed, and poof, the whole thing crumbles. Mastering all 5 of these is what really separates the closers from the agents whose deals fall apart.
Wow, that lists those 5 points. That gives you a completely different lens for checking out agents, doesn't it? Because, let's be honest, you Google real estate agent near me.
Thousands of results.
Thousands. And every single one says they're the best, shows you their sales numbers. So if these deal preservation skills are so vital for the client actually succeeding, why aren't agents shouting about this? Why is it always about sales volume and market share, not I saved X deals from collapsing last year?
Well, because the common stuff, being a good marketer, knowing the neighborhood really well, that's easy to show off. It looks good on paper, right?
Yeah.
Big signs, lots of listings sold. It's quantifiable. You can make a nice chart.
Right. Tangible results.
Exactly. But the ability to navigate a complex, emotional, logistical mess, that's harder to quantify, harder to advertise. It's sort of a hidden skill set, but it's absolutely essential. It takes experience, a certain temperament maybe, that's possibly less common among agents who are purely focused on generating the next lead. This ability to manage complexity and conflict, that is the real differentiator in today's market, especially when things get tough. And let's just underscore the stakes again. When you hire an agent, you're not just hiring someone to take nice photos and put up a sign. You're hiring a transaction manager, someone whose job includes preventing that 15% risk of total collapse. That ability to see trouble coming and head it off, that's the difference between closing your sale smoothly and having to put your house back on the market, losing months, racking up more costs.
Yeah. That really shifts the perspective from focusing on just getting offers to focusing on managing the chaos after the offer. The takeaway seems so clear now. The best agent isn't necessarily the flashiest one or the one with the most signs on lawns. It's the expert manager, the one who can keep things calm and moving forward when, inevitably, bumps appear in the road.
That's it, exactly. And if you, the listener, take just one thing away from this deep dive today, let it be something you use when you interview agents. Before you sign anything, you absolutely must ask one critical question. It's the ultimate test of their real value.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is, can you keep a deal together when things get really tough? But, and this is crucial, you can't just take yes for an answer.
Right.
You have to follow up. Ask them. Tell me about 3 specific recent deals you personally saved when they were about to fall apart. What was the problem, and exactly what did you do to fix it and get it closed? The quality, the detail, the specifics in our answer to that follow-up, that tells you everything. That tells you whether you hire them on the spot or whether you need to keep looking. It's probably the single highest leverage point in your whole real estate journey.